dying embers of human existence. As the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth, the world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the Earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully catalogued and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more. For friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, a proud production of the Weston Media Podcast Network. In this cinematic crusade, we journey through films on VOD and streaming platforms, deciding their fate, salvation in our vault of legends, or eternal banishment to the flames of the coming asteroid apocalypse. You can find all episodes of our show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app, or find us on social media at Back to the Frame Rate. I am Nathan Shore, and because Universal determined audiences demanded more of him, returning for the sequel is my movie compadre, Sam Cole.
Woo! Francis Scholl. Where the hell is Francis Scholl?
How are you, Sam? It's good to be back.
I am doing pretty good.
Well, welcome everyone to our episode where we are going to be talking about Jaws 2, the sequel to the blockbuster Jaws from 1975, but this is going to be part one of two episodes, that mini-retrospective, The Search for More Money, which is going to be focusing on how some studios really just wanted to go back to the well to find a little bit more cash lying around for some franchises, because the first movie did so well. Why don't we just crank out another one and make another couple $100 million if possible? So not that Jaws 2 is without any artistic merit. I think there is a lot of great things in this movie, but it definitely was greenlit based on the enormous success of the first one. So, but we'll get into all of this. And also later in the show, we are going to have our recommendation shelf segment where we will be recommending some other films that we believe might be some shameless money grabs from studios, and maybe they're guilty pleasures. Maybe we really love these movies, even despite the fact that they might be shameless money grabs. Who knows? We'll get into that later. But let's get into a couple other things tonight. I want to update our audience on a couple things happening between us that we've both been doing this summer. Since it's been so long since we've recorded, I was expecting to talk to our audience about an upcoming trip that I was making, but I never got to do that. That trip has come and gone in the last month and a half since we've recorded. I went to Portugal this past July for 9 days, which was a wonderful getaway. I went to Lisbon and Porto. Now, I know the audience probably could care less about my vacation, but what I do want to mention is that this was not only the first time that I've been to Portugal, and the first time I've been to Europe in 35 years, and this was a wonderful getaway this summer, but it was the first time that I had a chance to go see a movie in a theater overseas. Some of you may be thinking to yourself, well, Nathan, that's kind of a waste of time. You could go see a movie anywhere at any time in the United States. Well, my goal was to see a movie in a theater, not some American blockbuster, but I wanted to have sort of that like art house, foreign cinema, theatrical experience. So I did get to do that, and it took me a while to find a theater that I could walk to. And when I was in Porto for 4 days, I did find a cinema that was showing a movie that kind of fit into my schedule. So what I did was I want to talk about a movie called Rosebush Pruning, which was a new film from director. I'm not going to get his name right, but the director is Kareem Anuz. I'm botching it. Sorry if you're a fan of the show, Kareem. Probably isn't, but even before I talk about the movie, I have to talk about where I saw it, because this was a milestone moment for me. And I've traveled before, obviously, but I've never actually gone to movie theater in another country. So here was the logistical problem. I needed to see something in English because if I went to see a French movie or a Spanish movie or Portuguese or anything like that, the subtitles, I wouldn't be able to understand it, or subtitles would be in Portuguese, which wasn't going to do me a hell of a lot of good. And that's how I ended up with this wonderful little art house theater in Porto called Cinema Trindade. And it's tucked away in one of these narrow, winding cobblestone streets. And the programming at this was fantastic. They were showing Frances Ha from Noah Baumbach, and they had the Olivia Wilde's new movie, The Invite, which I would have seen if I had the chance, but I could have seen that here as well. And they were also showing a movie called Persepolis, which I have seen before, which is a great film, which came out maybe like 10 years ago, maybe. And they were also in the middle of a Francois Truffaut and Agnes Varda retrospective, which didn't line up with my schedule. But Rosebush Pruning is what I got to see. And can I just say something about the movie-going experience at the theater first? So this was absolute bliss, Sam. First of all, the place was immaculate. And I quickly discovered, it's not like it was like one of those like the Man's Chinese Theater or anything like that. It wasn't that kind of thing. It was just like clean. And I discovered the reason for this is because no food is allowed in the theater. There's no guy next to you working his way through a 55-gallon drum of popcorn. Nobody is rattling through boxes of Raisinets, through the quietest scene in the movie, or nacho cheese permanently fused to the floor. The theater is just clean, and there was no cell service in there either. So nobody is on TikTok or Instagram or browsing through their phone. No phones lit up at all. And they had a no phone policy either. So I don't know if that was by design, the construction of the building, or whether the gods of cinema just smiled upon me that evening, but nobody was texting and nobody was scrolling. So this was just the best experience ever for me. And everyone just was in the theater watching the movie. So imagine that. Already I'm thinking to myself, why can't every movie theater be like this?
Seriously, that sounds great. The only thing I miss is I'm a pig that likes popcorn, but I could manage.
I didn't even notice it because I had dinner beforehand.
Oh, there you go.
And the seats were cushy and comfortable, and I sunk right into these seats. So anyways, so I knew nothing about Rosebush Pruning. I went completely blind, and all I knew was that I could gather from the poster, which was that this thing had a pretty amazing cast in it. Riley Keough, Jamie Bell, Tracy Letts, Elle Fanning, and Pamela Anderson was in this as well.
Oh man!
So I'm in, and what I proceeded to watch was a very, very strange black comedy about an extraordinarily fucked up wealthy family living together in Spain. And when I say fucked up, I mean fucked up. There are these three brothers and a sister and a father all living together. And the relationship between these three people are really where the movie starts crossing into territory that's going to divide an audience very quickly. And I don't want to give anything away because I had such a good time discovering just how strange this family was when this movie unfolded. But I will say this. If you like the movie Saltburn, have you seen Saltburn?
I have.
Sam?
I have not seen Saltburn.
Okay. But if anyone out there has seen Saltburn, I think there's a pretty good chance Rosebush Pruning might work for you. And it's certainly not the same movie, but there's something about the aesthetic, like the wealth of the families that are in both these movies and the decadence and the sexual perversity that's kind of crosses over in both of these. It's a black comedy, and there's this feeling that you're being invited into the lives of people you probably should stay very, very far away from in real life, which reminded me a lot of Saltburn. And there's a lot of Yorgos Lanthimos DNA in this movie as well, like a lot of dry, uncomfortable sense of humor.
Oh, right.
So this movie is not for everybody. And so I just want to say that, if this is something that interests you, then I recommend it. But if you're thinking to yourself, if wealthy, dysfunctional, perverse family black comedy is your jam, then jump right into it. So I don't think it's playing anywhere right now, but it probably will hit VOD or streaming at some point in the next few months. So that was my blind buy attendance at a theater in Portugal. So no regrets.
That sounds like an entertaining experience, actually. Lots of fun, beautiful theater,
Yeah. I had a great time. So no regrets. I'm glad I spent 2 hours of my vacation in this theater, and it's just like a memorable. I probably will forget many details of the movie, but it probably burned into my head because I got to experience this in this foreign land, and it's just the whole experience was special. So yeah,
that's awesome. I love that. Yeah.
So yeah, that was how I spent my summer vacation. So yeah. Sam, anything you want to update the audience with?
I guess so just for the YouTube aspect in terms of like Jaws 2, at the moment on Sam's Real World Adventures, I have a Jaws 2 filming locations part 1. The second one, part 2, will come out most likely after this podcast, but it'll go into a lot more like production detail, the story behind the production. And so looking forward to that one. Other than that, in terms of movies, I mean, the two big ones that I've seen recently were The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day. And someone online referred to it, it's not the Barbenheimer summer. They called it the summer of Odyssey Man, which I kind of like that one. I would have gone for like Spidericious or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I saw both those films. I enjoyed them. I particularly liked Spider-Man Brand New Day a lot. I had zero expectations, and it kind of blew me out of the water and rescued me from a somewhat unpleasant day. But yeah, and just in terms of like movies, those are basically the two that I've seen recently. Odyssey IMAX 70 millimeter. There's lots of jokes online about how it's like the loudest movie ever. And so I saw this like Family Guy episode where they're watching it. They're like, their ears get blown off and they're like, their faces are bleeding. But
this is my one
loud.
complaint.
Yeah.
This is my complaint with Nolan movies. I've had an issue with his sound mixes ever since Dunkirk. I have not enjoyed his movies as much in the theater as I have at home. I could not understand Dunkirk. I needed to come home and watch it with subtitles on. Same thing with Oppenheimer. I've had problems with his sound mixes. I think that he's blasting, or maybe, I mean, I've seen those movies in two different theaters, and yet I'm feeling assaulted.
Yeah, it's as if like the decibel level on the dialogue and the music are both turned up to their top level. And so you can't discern it from the, I didn't have as much trouble with the Odyssey, but I completely I totally understand that he likes just like blasting the audio, and the overall mix is overwhelming. But I will say, on a humorous note, I do love the like constantly memed let's get these beggars out of here.
So I haven't seen
Robert Pattinson. Yeah,
I haven't seen the Odyssey yet because I was in Portugal right when it came out. I'm going to try to go this weekend. It's still playing at the IMAX at Providence Place.
It is. They have 70 millimeter. They have it until September 16th. You have plenty of time. Yeah,
bought out the theater. So I got plenty of time. There's no rush at all. And I did see this Spider-Man Brand New Day a couple of days ago, which I really did like a lot. And quick sidebar with that. So my youngest daughter asked to watch it about a week and a half ago. Oh, wow. Right when I came back, I'm like, she's like begging to see the new Spider-Man movie. Like, you haven't seen Eddie's Spider-Man movie. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh God, how do we broach this? So this is a thing. So, okay. So do I show her the 3 previous Tom Holland movies, at least though she'll have some context to it. But like Spider-Man No Way Home will make absolutely no sense to her.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
But that movie completely sets up Brand New Day. So you have to watch it. So, but these Tom Holland movies are so embedded into the MCU and there's so much crossover.
Tons.
And I was debating, like, do we watch all 9 Spider-Man movies so that at least she understands who Tobey Maguire is and Andrew Garfield, and so that movie makes more sense. I'm like, no, I don't have time to watch 9 movies in a week and a half with her. And then I'm thinking to myself, do we just start with the whole MCU and we'll watch this new Spider-Man movie in like 2 years from now? And it was like, so, and I think actually she is interested in watching these movies now.
Oh,
but
cool.
All this stuff went over her head, and I had to like pause. It took us 4 hours to watch No Way Home because I had to keep pausing and explaining who the Green Goblin was.
Oh God, it's so embedded. Yeah,
and I know that so much of this went over her head. Now she still enjoyed these movies, but she doesn't have a clue. She enjoyed maybe it on such a surface level, and it's really too bad that these Tom Holland movies you cannot. It's so much fan service in these movies, and they don't really stand on their own. And I feel like it's almost kind of unfortunate. And I know that the Sam Raimi movies stood on their own, and the Andrew Garfield movies, they stood on their own. And it's too bad that we can't get to that. Those days are gone.
I hear that. I'll say really briefly that of his 4 films, I thought this. Of the 4 Tom Holland ones, I thought this for me was far and away the best. And because it was a different director and cinematographer and that it went back to New York City, I wasn't really aware of that. So I came into the movie kind of blind. It felt different. I loved it. It really was embedded in MCU, but because I'd seen the other films, there was a lot I hadn't seen. And so there was some backstory, but for some reason in this particular movie, it bothered me less because I knew that like the memory was erased and I knew that like the gist of that. And so that template was enough for me. And so the audience would cheer when like certain cameos would come on and I'd be like, well, I don't know who that is, but I'm still enjoying the movie.
I don't know. Like having to explain my daughter about the blip is like, forget it. Like there was this big alien, purple alien, and he snapped his fingers and like it's like, huh, what that? And no, like,
oh God,
it gave me headaches trying to explain it. Anyways, we don't have to talk about Spider-Man anymore. That's not what the episode's about. But we did get through all 4 Tom Holland movies and she had a good time. And I think she will now go back and watch the other 5 movies, and maybe we'll go back and watch No Way Home sometime and it'll actually mean something to her. Because that movie has such a great arc to it, especially with Doc Ock. It lands so many things with Andrew Garfield. It redeems his whole story. Because
it really does. Yeah,
his movies weren't that great, but No Way Home actually wraps up his character. And it's the best of the Andrew Garfield films.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyways, all right, let's put that to bed. But we had a good time with Brand New Day. It was good, great, really good film. Okay, so that is how we spent our summer vacation segment.
I'll say really, really quick too. I'm just glad at the big box office this summer and that people are going to the movies. Like that just makes me happy, no matter what the movie is.
Is Brand New Day going to be the highest grossing movie of all time?
I don't know. It's certainly gunning for it. Like I thought it would do well, but then I saw the opening weekend numbers and I was like, Jesus.
It's great. It's already It's already over $1 billion worldwide. Oh no, 1.6 billion worldwide. I think right now it's on its way to like the high, like 2.4 billion or 2.8 billion something. It's insane.
It's a beast.
and seeing the Odyssey still having legs. But it's interesting. It's been a tale of like movies that have bombed and some have done well. Like seeing Supergirl bomb was, I think, unfortunate. I don't think that movie was great, but it's unfortunate that some things just really did not do well. I don't know, but no, it's for the most part, there's been some good surprises, with the box office. I think this is pretty much a rebound year for a lot of reasons.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to get in transition talking about Jaws 2. And I have a brief little plot synopsis here. I did not dig deep into this. This is like from IMDb or the web somewhere. Police Chief Brody must protect the citizens of Amity after a second monstrous shark begins terrorizing the waters. Dun, dun, dun. And let's cue the trailer.
When the movie Jaws first opened, it created a sensation. And shark sightings increased by the thousands in all the vast and unknown depths of the ocean. How could there have been only one? Once there was a terrible tragedy here, but today Amity has a new hotel and the promise of a perfect summer. Now, just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, the legend continues.
Woo!
I have my Jaws 2 4K, which I got like in May, anticipating this. Has a lot of cool features on it, though. I didn't get to all of them. Yeah. So, anyways, good transfer, everyone. So, yeah. Sam, you got some movie facts for us. I know you've been waiting for this your whole life.
Yes, this is true. All right, so Jaws 2 was directed by Jeannot Szwarc. And that's it. That's all I have. No, I'm just kidding. So the two producers, Richard Zanuck and David Brown, they realized that if they didn't make a sequel, someone else would. And so they just wanted to be like, well, it's going to happen anyway, so we might as well control this. So one of the most fascinating stories for me about Jaws 2 is the firing of the original director, John Hancock. And this movie started in production in like early summer 1977. And I want to say, if any of you guys are interested in knowing everything about Jaws 2, there's a book called Jaws 2, The Making of the Hollywood Sequel by Michael A. Smith. Ooh. This book has every interview, every cast member, every crew person. It is a loaded book with everything about the production. But long story short, I read a lot about the movie, and there's a lot of different perspectives on John Hancock's firing. But having read the book, read everything I can, the synopsis, the kind of three-dimensional synopsis I come up with is, if you see John Hancock in interviews and he's talking about the film, he will say mostly that it was political and that it was personality issues. Fair enough. But honestly, from everything I've read, the brutal truth is I think they lost confidence in him as a director. He had a darker vision. In his vision, Amity was going to be very bankrupt, a lot of boarded up windows. There are two scenes of his that still remain in the film. The first is the harbor at the beginning of the film, where it's all gray and dark and you see the shark fin come into the harbor. That's a John Hancock directed scene. And the only other scene of his that remains in the film is there's a scene of sailboats just off Martha's Vineyard, and it's not skydiving, but someone's like paragliding and they keep dipping into the water and the shark almost gets them as they dip out of the water at the last moment.
That's a John Hancock?
That's a John Hancock directed
wow.
scene. And if you go back and look at that scene, none of the main like kid cast members are in that scenes. It's just wide shots of like teenagers that you don't know. Because
that is fascinating because I have questions about that scene. All right, cool.
Most of the original kids were fired because Jeannot Szwarc came in, because basically with John Hancock, he was like, he was filming shots with like people's heads cut off in the frame, and they felt that there was one day when they were shooting in the Vineyard and he wanted to rap at 3:00 in the afternoon. They were just filming kids talking on the dock. And I think Joe Alves, the production designer, came up to him, and Hancock was like frustrated. And he was basically like, I'm just exhausted. Can we just put this off till tomorrow? And they were like, dude, if you're getting tired filming these scenes of the kids on the dock, how are you going to be when we're out in the ocean with the mechanical shark? We haven't even gotten started yet, and you're having trouble. So his firing was really brutal. They didn't tell him he was fired, and the car picked him up and his wife. And instead of driving him to set, they drove him to the airport. They'd already packed his suitcase and all his stuff was waiting for him. So he and his wife went on vacation to Rome. But the majority of this movie was shot in Navarre Beach, Florida. So almost every scene you see, the cable junction, all the kids out, the beach, everything. This is 80% a Floridian shoot with like 20% of scenes at the Vineyard peppered in. And most of the Vineyard inserts were filmed in October 1977. So if you look at some of the familiar Vineyard landmarks in the movie, it's autumnal outside. It's still like summer, but it's not quite there. And then, interestingly enough, the scene inside the big plot point of Jaws 2, the big opening of the big hotel, that was a real hotel called the Holidome, a Holiday Inn in Navarre Beach, Florida, that was destroyed by Hurricane Ivan in 2004. So they actually, that interior of the with the pool and she's cutting the ribbon, that opening scene, that is in Florida. There is a hilarious cut to me that is not that jarring, but it's only because I know the landscape so well. When at the very beginning, Chief Brody is literally in Martha's Vineyard. He crosses onto the like ferry that takes him to Chappaquiddick. It shows his car driving down the vineyard, and then bam, the next shot, he's driving across a water bridge in Florida, and the trees are different, and it's like suddenly we're in Florida, and I can totally tell because also in Martha's Vineyard, there's no buildings as massive as that hotel. So you would never, like, it doesn't bother, it doesn't ruin the movie or anything. I just notice it because I'm so hyper aware of that stuff. But lastly, I will say, because this is one of the few examples where I actually have like tons of information because I did a YouTube video on this. It would be considered a rumor if one person was like, yeah, Roy Scheider wasn't the happiest guy on set. But after having read the book where like 30 to 40 people confirm he did not want to be there. Nope. He got a tan all the time to the point where he was so dark that the DP was complaining because his like skin would be inconsistent colors. And he was, I hate to say this, but Roy Scheider was kind of a dick to people on that movie. Like there's no way around it when all these people say that. And that opening scene in the Holidome at the pool, he got in a huge fight with the director, Jeannot Szwarc, who took over from John Hancock. And he was like about to punch him. And he said, you're a television director. You don't know what you're doing. And it was not F. Murray Abraham. Who's the mayor? The actor that plays the mayor, Murray Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Murray Hamilton stepped in and was like, you're being really unprofessional here. You got to calm this. Like, Martin, come on. But yeah, so in a nutshell, Jaws 2 takes place on Amity, but the majority of the movie is a Floridian shoot. And that book, I highly, highly recommend it. It has everything. There's also a novelization. This is the novelization, Jaws 2, and it's a complete new novel by Hank Searles. What's interesting, this novel was written and commissioned. It was based off John Hancock's vision before they took over. So this novel gets you the closest to what the original movie would have been. It's a darker and a slower burn. His version would have been a lot colder. Brody was going to have like way more PTSD, panic attacks. The city was in economic decline. They brought back a mafia elephant element, not elephant. It was a much darker
Mafia Elephant.
Mafia elements. Dumbo, hey, no, but so it was a much darker film, and it was Carl Gottlieb, the screenwriter on the original one, that came in to infuse some life into the dark Jaws 2 script, and he was the one that came up with the cruising culture. He was like, in American Graffiti, like teens are cruising in cars. Let's make a cruising culture on Amity Island where they're in sailboats, and we'll do that instead. So all the fun sailboat stuff is Carl Gottlieb's invention. Had he not come in, there would have been hardly any of the sailing stuff, and there would have only been like a regatta at the end of the movie. But having all the like kids sailing around and having fun throughout the whole movie is a Carl Gottlieb invention. So
wow.
Fascinating. I mean, like production kind of nightmares for this movie, but they were there. They were already spending money. They fired the director. They tried to get Spielberg back. He was finishing Close Encounters. He said, "Can you delay for me and I'll do it?" They said no, because they were already there. The money was being spent. So like Jeannot Szwarc jumped into the rescue as like a workman-like director to save them, because John Hancock, like they were getting back dailies. They didn't like the dailies. They felt he was disorganized. He was all over the place. And like, I hate to throw him under the bus because he seems like a really nice guy in his interviews. But when you read all the stuff, it's just an example. The studio they lost confidence in him. And they were like, we need someone who's up to they felt like he was an artistic director who was really good with characters, but the scale of the movie was out of his depth. And he was like panicked and getting nervous and like, he got overwhelmed very quickly. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
Wow. So, from that, the thing that's most fascinating to me is I didn't realize that the footage that they kept from Hancock, and hearing about the part with the parasailing is most interesting to me, because it is so obvious that those boys that the kids, the teens that were parasailing, I was always wondering why they keep calling one of them Mike over and over and over. And it's obviously you can't really see the face of who's parasailing there. But I made a note in here, like, why? Because I assumed, because I knew that I did read or saw an interview at one point with Zanuck and Brown. I think it might be on the special feature in here, that the way that Szwarc, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, I think so. Jeannot Szwarc, yeah.
One of the ways that he got himself the job was that he pitched a couple quick ideas to like add some suspense to the movie. One of them was the water skiing scene. And I had assumed that, and the way he said that we can shoot these things really fast. And while they were rewriting in the script, he could shoot these things. I had assumed that the parasailing was one of them. Like these are little insert things just to add suspense to the movie. And I assumed that maybe another one of them would have been like the group of divers, because these are all like things that seem like unconnected to anything in the movie.
Yeah, they just show up. Yeah, that's true.
So, but I assumed that the parasailing thing, because they keep saying, "Hey Mike, hey Mike, hey Mike," and we never. But it's clearly not Mike Brody, because it's not the same actor, but we kind of see he's in shadow and stuff like that. We never really see it. But I was always wondering, why do we hear that audio of the kids?
Yeah, because it was a different actor, but that's 100% true about like the.
But it might have been the original cast Mike.
I'm like 99% certain it was. And the water skiing scene, yeah, he did. Jeannot Szwarc did come in, and he was like, because that was a big complicated scene to do. So he's like, the producers liked him immediately, because he was like, let's do the water skiing thing first, because we're set up for that. And while we're shooting the water skiing thing, Carl Gottlieb can go back and start fixing the script. So like they liked him because he was able to keep the production going. But the guy who played Andy, Gary Springer, who's like, Sean, if you don't catch that rope, I'll break. He was one of the crossover actors, and in the first version, there's like pictures in the book here. His character is much more of like a nerd, like a kind of insecure, kind of geek-like character, very prepperly dressed. So you see footage of him from the original, and he's just different. But in the version now, Gary Springer is more like the cool dude, friends with everybody guy. So his character changed. But he was one of the few that the new director was like, yeah, I'll let you stay. I like you.
Sean! Sean, God damn it! God damn it, Sean! You listen to me, I'll break your ass, do you hear? Lucky, come on. Come on. Okay. Okay, Sean, now listen. Listen now. We're going to show you this rope, and you damn well better catch it, you hear?
When I met him and I got him to write that exact quote on my, I was like, can you write the line? Like, God damn it, Sean, I'll break her ass. He's like, oh, absolutely.
I love that. I bet you shared that with me. That made my night.
That was fun.
I wonder if there's any footage that made it over from the original, because his hair changes a lot a few times.
There really isn't much, and it's too bad because I'm fascinated by what that movie would have been like. To be brutally honest, I think the changes they made may have made the movie more entertaining and more crowd-pleasing, because what it was originally going to be, I mean, this never got into the cut, but they were shooting scenes on Martha's Vineyard of like boarded up windows, and like they were using fog. Like the Amity was supposed to be in this dark economic depression. It was a lot grim. I think John Hancock had an interesting movie, but his movie sounded colder and darker. There was even a subplot of Quint's son was like Robert Shaw's son was going to show up and like start like a restaurant or something totally random like that.
No.
Like it's the movie that never was, and we'll never know exactly what it will be like. But the novel is kind of gives you hints into it, but the novel is such a frustrating, slow burn. I wasn't the biggest fan because no one knows there's a shark until the last like 15 pages. It's all, they think it's like a mob hit and they're all confused, and it's all like infighting and politics. It's a different story. And I just like, it's just crazy. Yeah. So it would have been another movie. It's weird. Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. All right. That was a pretty extensive movie facts.
I knew that was going to happen.
We got it. We got into a lot of things there that I think are really interesting. So anyway, let's, I guess we can talk about some of the plot details in here and some of the things that we like and don't like about this movie. I would say, so I don't know if you want to, if any general thoughts on Jaws 2, if you want to introduce that, Sam, like how do you feel about this film as far as a sequel, as far as a standalone? Does this hold up on its own? Is it a good movie?
I enjoy Jaws 2. Like, I mean, obviously you can't even compare it to the first one, because like Jaws is like such a classic masterpiece for the ages. But the fact that this sequel is like competent for the most part and enjoyable, I like it. What's interesting for me about this movie is because of like the reading and the making YouTube videos and watching it a million times, it's been so deconstructed in my mind. When I watch it now, I'm aware of all the pieces of it, and it's almost hard for me to remember what it initially felt like first seeing it. But I did first see it when I was like 12 or 13. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't think it's perfect, but I will say one thing that I think is welcome is, even though of course it's obviously the same story again, the two things I like are, I thought they did something interesting with Chief Brody's character, like knowing that the shark is there and he's like really obsessed about it. And he has like a little bit of PTSD, but he's right. But like he's alienated from the town in this one. I like that. And at the very least, I do like the fact that they don't, if this movie had ended with Chief Brody and two other guys going on a boat hunt for like an hour, like if they tried to emulate Jaws 1, it'd be too much of a repeat. I like the fact that at least visually, it's a different, I like the climax of all the sailboats crashing into each other. And damn it, I forgot. There's some medieval painting that Carl Gottlieb based the script, when all the boats are like stuck together and they're floating towards Cable Junction. That is based off a classic piece of artwork about people floating in the ocean. So they were like a conscious decision to do that. I can't remember what it is, but I like Jaws 2 for the visual inventiveness, the sailboat, the helicopter being eaten. I will say that I think they're a little overconfident in showing the shark in this movie, because they show it so much and they're so much more used to the mechanics of it this go around, that there are shots that I almost feel could have been a little bit shorter, because I can feel the shark like on a gimbal or like on a track, like even when it's following the water skier, the speed at which it rises up perfectly and goes down. I can feel the mechanized feeling of it, but it's also because I've watched it a million times. So like, it's hard to almost trust my opinion because I've seen the hell out of the movie to the point of abstraction at this point.
Yeah, but Sam, how do you hide the shark when you've already had the first movie where the shark is the same shark?
Oh yeah.
You can't, like, hiding the shark for 2/3 of the movie doesn't really get you anywhere when we already know what it is.
I don't think they should hide it. And I think like Jeannot Szwarc made a wise decision. He was like, look, the cat's out of the bag. The audience knows what the shark is. I had no problem with that. I just mean there's some shots where they're so confident with their fake shark that you get a really good look at it, almost too good a look sometimes, when like the shark will come up and you can see like the mechanical like cylinders inside its jaws as it like it's good. I just feel that like you see it. I don't mean hide it. I just mean that like there's some shots where they're straight. I do like though the shots
mechanics.
Where they're on the like nose and they're like following around the POV. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought the shark mechanics looked great in this, better than the first in a lot of ways. I think they fixed a lot of the issues from the first one. There's some stuff where in the first movie where you can see like the rubber mouth and things like that. I felt like, I don't know if it was rubber, but I felt like you could see some of the mechanics in the first movie. It didn't bother me at all. It's a perfect movie, but I thought there was, it didn't bother me that seeing the more of the shark in this movie. I thought that they used the practicalness of it very well. There's a shot that is maybe one of my favorite moments of seeing the shark in both movies is when they pull Mike, who's unconscious, out of the water, and that shark peels right along the side of the boat and comes right at you. I think it's one of the best uses of the mechanical shark in both movies.
That's a notorious shot because you see the inside of its mouth. Like that shot looks disastrous, but like
and but as far as my thoughts on this film, it's funny because I grew up watching both of these movies always back to back, because I think I recorded them both off of like cable TV, or maybe I recorded them off of network TV, because you know why? The version of Jaws 2 that I watched over and over had the deleted scenes in it, which is amazing, because this version that was kind of like bouncing around here before, I mean, I've seen the theatrical cut many times, but I realized that I grew up, I probably watched this for the first time when I was around your age, like 11 or 12. And all the deleted scenes, and there's two that I remember most, and that is the helicopter pilot who gets attacked and eaten. And there's an underwater scene where he gets attacked a second time by the shark, and it's a little bit more graphic. And that is a deleted scene that's in this movie that's not in the theatrical cut. And there's another one that I will talk about in a moment, but that's the movie that I remember growing up with.
Oh, wow.
But I watch these movies together. Like I think we're on the same VHS tape I recorded off of TV. And I really could not tell the difference. Like I grew up and it was like one movie to me. It was like I would spend 4 hours on a Saturday or Sunday. I'm watching the Jawses, and because, Brody was in both of these and it felt like of the same ingredients, I felt like there was not much difference between these movies. And it wasn't until probably I was in my 20s where I realized that, Jaws is a masterpiece. Jaws 2 is not quite the same, cut from the same cloth, even though it's still, I think, a good movie. And I haven't now, until this summer, I probably had not returned to Jaws 2 in 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I became such a huge fan of Jaws. Jaws, the original, became maybe my top 3 or 4 favorite movies of all time. And I just did not return to Jaws 2 until the summer. And I decided, it is still a good movie. There are things about Jaws 2 that I think are spectacular. And one of them is the John Williams score. I think this is one of his best. Again, it gets kind of short shafted because it is in some ways similar to the Jaws score, but there's stuff in his score that I think is great. I love all the stuff with the teens out on the sailboats and how it's kind of light and poppy, but there's always like this undercurrent of danger that creeps into it. And it's a fantastic score that nobody talks about, the Jaws 2 score from John Williams. And it's fantastic. And it might be the best thing of the movie also, of all the things that could have been nominated for an Academy Award and didn't, but it is fantastic. And it's, I think Roy Scheider, he is great in this. I know, even though he may have been belligerent on set, I think he is awesome in this movie, reprising his role. It does suffer from, and this is my biggest gripe with the movie, is the teens. Is that we have how many of these? I mean, we kind of glossed over the cast here, but it was really funny. Roy Scheider is Martin Brody. The top 3 billed cast members, the first movie, we got Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
We got Roy Scheider and Robert Shaw. Top 3 billed cast. They play the huge part in that movie. The top 3 billed cast members in this movie is Lorraine Gary and Murray Hamilton.
Right.
I mean, they're above the fold. They're above the title in this. And I mean, their level of importance in this movie is minimal, but they just had to put somebody.
Someone said, yeah.
But we have all these other guys. I'd say that Jeffrey Kramer has more importance in this movie than Murray Hamilton, but Murray Hamilton was a bigger name. But we have all these other kids here, like Mike Brody and Jackie and Andy and Doug and Tina Wilcox and all these kids, and they completely underserve all these teens, and Bob and Polo, and these are caricatures, and we know nothing about them. And the sad thing is, there's like 10 of them, and one of them
is a Dukakis too.
Yes. We got John Dukakis plays Polo Loman, who's a son of Michael Dukakis. We also have Billy Van Zandt, who plays Bob, the brother of Stephen Van Zandt from the E Street Band and who was in The Sopranos.
Yeah.
I mean, it's connected here, but it's unfortunate that we've got like 10 teenagers, and the funny thing is, this is kind of like it's the blueprint of like the teen slasher movie in a lot of ways. Halloween, Friday the 13th. We got the slasher, the killer out there picking teens off one by one. You got to think that Halloween comes out, I think, later that year. Friday the 13th comes out 2 years later. This is the blueprint for those movies in a lot of ways, but those movies had like 5 or 6 at most kids. This movie has 10, and it doesn't flesh out any of these characters. The one that it does sort of do is Mike Brody, who is adult in this movie, who they give nothing to, and the other son, who's 8 years old or so. And this is the problem. We got too many kids. If this movie had whittled that down to like 5, and those 5 teenagers were out in the ocean in peril, and they gave them fleshed out those characters, and we cared about them. We cared about Tina Wilcox and her boyfriend because we actually had a couple scenes getting to know them more. Or the other girl, who's the girl that gets swallowed whole, Marge, which is a great kill. Yeah. But we know nothing about Marge. Who gives a shit? Because we know all we know is that she screamed a couple times, and pulled Sean out of the water one time and can't get herself out of the water. We know nothing about her. Now there's other people that died, got killed in Jaws in the first movie, but this movie, if we're gonna have so many kids in this movie, you gotta like give them some stakes, give them some story to them, and it's just too much. And I'm sad that it's a wasted. And the other one is Larry Jr. They make such a point, and I'm kind of going off on this for a moment here. They make such a point for Mayor Vaughn. Hey, my son Larry, say hi to my son Larry Jr. You to the point where you think this kid is going to play some sort of role in this movie.
He was a big bully in the John Hancock. Like Larry Jr. was going to be a big part. He got demoted.
I wish. And it's such a missed opportunity because Larry Jr., could have been an asshole just like his dad, a foil to the whole thing, and screwed it up for everybody else. Or actually, what I would have been kind of cool if he was the opposite, kind of been a redemptive factor to the family or something like that, or something. But he is completely wasted. He's just kind of like another member of this group of teens that does nothing. He didn't have to be anybody's son. He could have just been another kid in the group.
Exactly.
So those things just kind of really get under my skin. Like, why even bother? And there's a lot of that. So
there is there was a review or something I read somewhere that I cannot unsee, and it did say that about the kids, that they were kind of like written as like I can't remember the word. It was like before the WB, but they were like afternoon special teenage, like kind of sanitized, like, hey, my dad's got some beer and we can have some beer on my boat. Like they were kind of like
in the boat. I remember.
Yeah, they were like a bit like stock generic teenagers, and
less than stock, because none of them even have like characters.
Yeah.
Some of them.
And I know the producers made a point. They wanted the sequel to be a little bit shorter. I honestly, if those characters had been fleshed out, the movie's like 10 minutes shorter than Jaws. If there was more character development, I would have easily enjoyed that movie for like 10, 15 minutes longer if there was a little bit more meat on the bone with those people. Because the way that, having watched it twice this summer and last summer, the first like 45 minutes, hour is kind of like feels like pieces. And then the movie comes alive once they go out on the ocean in the second hour. But I feel like that it gets a bit more focused, whereas it's kind of wandering along in its first hour. There's an attack and Chief Brody's word. But one of the best scenes is when Chief Brody thinks he sees the shark and he like spazzes out and he like points a gun, and the way they frame it looks like he's like about to shoot the kid, but he's like shooting in the water instead. When he just causes that public panic on the beach and he has to go in to the council, the town selectmen, and get fired by them. And then he comes home and shows up like totally hammered. That's like my favorite character moments in the movie, because it's like a Chief Brody story there. Like that's the part I like. Yeah.
And he does take things too far when he runs out on the beach and he's waving his gun and starts shooting up the ocean with beach. And it looks like there's a beachgoer actually still in his line of sight.
Yeah.
So, shark or no shark, he is unhinged there. But, the scene that followed up shortly after that, where he does go to the town council, I guess, and gets fired. This leads into another deleted scene that I grew up with that I love. So he's showing the picture of the shark to all of the council members. And I love one of them looks at it and says, "What is it, seaweed?" It's like, what's
Yeah.
Oh, that's Bad Hat Harry, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. And but there's a really cool, there's actually a scene or a moment with Mayor Vaughn. So Mayor Vaughn, he's reprising his role as the mayor, and he's still kind of the asshole mayor, but his character, I think, has developed a little bit in this movie. He's not quite this as assholey, I think, in this movie as he is one. He knows that Brody was right the first time. He was there for that. He witnessed that. So he's a little bit more on the fence in this movie on the whole thing. He's trying to just balance it all. I like what Murray Hamilton does in this movie. And I wish he had a bigger role in this. And I understand from what I read and what I've seen that I think he was supposed to have a bigger role in this movie, but his wife was really sick during this. And he just left set halfway through shooting, and the producers just let him go. He didn't really, I don't know if he got to film everything or not.
Well, he wanted to leave before finishing filming, and they convinced him, they're like, just stay 2 more days. We'll film all your stuff in 2 days, and then you can go, because he was eager to get back. So they got his scenes in, but they like trimmed them down so he could do it, and then he rushed off.
Yeah. So what I remember from this town council scene is that Mayor Vaughn, after they've looked at this photo, he tells Brody, "Can you give us some time for all of us to look at the photo, sit here, and we're going to go look at it in the other room." They leave. That's where the scene ends in the theatrical version, right?
Right. It does. Yeah.
So in the deleted scene, there is a scene where the council people are talking about Martin Brody and that. They're not looking at the photo, but they're talking whether to fire him or not, and they all take a vote. And all 5 of them are voting, and they vote to fire him. But Mayor Vaughn is the only one that votes not to fire him.
Oh, that would have been good to see. I would have liked that in the movie.
Yes. And this is Mayor Vaughn's moment of redemption.
Man, that's too bad that's not there. Yeah.
It's a great moment for him, showing that he is not an asshole. He does believe in Brody, and he knows that despite the fact that he did shoot up the beach, that he believes in him. He's his guy. And it's a great moment. And you can see him. It's in the deleted scenes, and you can see the pain in him, that he knows that he's the last one to cast a vote. He knows that he's already fired, and I'm not the best actor, but he kind of like raises his hand, and he's like, you just see the pain in him, that like his vote doesn't matter at all, but he wants everyone to know that he's still standing up for Brody. And
Wow.
it's a great moment. And I can't believe they cut it out. I mean, like and it would have been the last thing that we see from Mayor Vaughn in this franchise. It's too bad. It's too bad that got cut out, and that most people have not seen that, because it's a touching moment and a great moment of redemption for that character. It kind of vindicates everything. Well, not vindicates it, but it really kind of brings it full circle that he is not as heartless as we think he is, So I really like that. And that's the version that I grew up with.
So is that just called like the extended edition? Because I don't think I've ever seen that. Can you still watch that anywhere now, or is it just like in deleted scenes?
I mean, you can go to YouTube and find it. You can, it's in deleted scenes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It might be extended because it was probably on network version of it. Speaking of that, the other thing that I find interesting about Jaws 2, the original had a PG rating, but you could argue that movie is pretty graphic and pretty gory.
Yeah.
And I'd say that would probably at least get a PG-13, if not an R rating. If it was reconsidered today, because there's dismemberment. There's the scene with Quint's death, which is very graphic and gory. There's the Kittner boy killing, where that blood is spraying up in the ocean. It is horrifying.
That's true.
Some things that happen in that movie. Jaws 2, I would say there really is not anything in this movie that is anywhere close to the graphic and goriness of Jaws. And not that you need to have gore for something to be horrifying or scary, but I realize that this movie doesn't go nearly as hard. This movie feels like the made for TV sequel to Jaws.
It does. And the producers were like, there's some things where they're consciously wanted to like keep it lighter. I wouldn't have minded more of that darkness. In fact, I think the best death in the movie is when when Eddie gets like knocked out of the boat and is trying to swim back to the boat, and the shark gets him, and like he's like in the shark's mouth, and he slams into the side of the sailboat, and she like panics and hides down into even though it's not that graphic, that at least was an intense, like that was the most intense shark killing. The water skier one is pretty good. The only part I laugh at is when she's like trying to like get the lighter fluid, and she like douses it on herself. I just thought that was I thought that was cheesy.
That is hysterical. I laughed at that because that woman, first of all, she's grabbing a can of gasoline, and then she like dumps it on herself, and like, what are you doing, lady? I bet the shark's even thinking like, what the fuck, woman? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing with them? And then you're gonna blow yourself up. I mean, it just turns into like a shark explosion. I don't understand what that woman was doing. Like, you're gonna like dump gasoline on a shark that's in the water.
Yeah, it's just like panic or something. Then the shark has that burn thing on its face for the rest of the movie, which was kind of cool.
I like that.
That was cool. Yeah, I just like. There's little things like apparently that the underwater orca they built, like Joe Alves, the production designer, didn't supervise that. He was not happy with the way when they come upon the orca that sunk at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. I love the idea of that scene, but I think that they could have that boat could have looked more like the Orca as opposed to, it just was like this boat. It had the name Orca on it. But like they could have just played a little bit more of that. But I know what you mean. It feels like it does feel like the TV movie sequel. And I do like it. I almost wish what this actually, I wouldn't say this concerns me, but like when I was younger, I was much more of a nostalgic person. And I remember being like away in college watching Jaws 2, being like, I can't wait to go back to New England for the summer. I can't wait to see my friends. I can't wait to go sailing. Like Jaws 2 struck a real deep nerve in me. Mm-hmm. And now at my age, I recognize it. But when I watch the movie now, I'm looking at it from like a technical perspective of like, oh, that's an interesting, but that nostalgia or me being a teenager or like early 20s around the age of those like stock characters, I feel a little bit disconnected for that. And so a little bit of that magic is lost on me in the sense now I know the movie beat for beat. I loved it when I was younger and it was like they're going out on the ocean and who knows what's going to happen. And now I'm like, okay, we're at the hour 15 minute mark. Okay. It's an hour 52. So there's going to be 38 minutes. Like I just can't, I wish I could. I think it's from making all these damn YouTube videos where I have to do all this precise stuff, but like my soul is disappearing. And I am afraid in my old age that there's going to be nothing left. And I'm really scared.
Wow.
I'm like really worried about it. But
you even enjoy a movie anymore.
I can't. I do. It's just my brain does not shut off in the way that I do enjoy it. It's just more like I'm watching it for like research purposes.
Well, you see that when people like us, we see the mechanics of the movies, how they're made, and we know too much about how these things are made to sometimes, especially when you see it so many times,
I think also hard. Because I was watching it with my headphones on like a really large screen in 4K, there is a ton of ADR in this movie. It's not bad ADR, but like you'll see things where it's like, hey buddy, keep going, go for it. And you like look at the guy's mouth, which you can see in 4K. And it's like, his lips are not moving. Like, it doesn't bother me. I want the magic back. I need magic in my life.
So one other thing, and again, I feel like I'm dumping a lot on Jaws 2 here, but the thing that really, really gets to me, and this just comes down to like, I call this topic stupid teens. Mike gets a concussion, he gets knocked out, and you got 9 or 20 other teens that can't figure out this simple thing here. They take Mike back to the mainland when he gets concussed in the one boat that is able to sail. But nobody thinks to also return his little brother Sean with him. The helpless 8-year-old clinging to for dear life on the top-sided raft. Like, what the hell?
I never thought of that, and that's a huge plot point because like the little kid would doesn't weigh that much either. He totally could have gone with them.
And he's hanging on to a top-sided boat for dear life.
Oh my God. Wow.
Why not send him back with his brother?
That is true. Wow. I did not. That is a real, like, that is some poor judgment on their part.
He's like not one, I don't know, prefrontal cortex, not fully developed. I guess we can just call it that.
There is a shot when like Brody is there's a shot that is always unintentionally funny because it looks like Brody is like descended into like senility when like it's him on the raft holding the cable junction. He's like, come on, come and get it, you bastard. It's this wide shot of him in that position. And it just looks like, oh my God, this guy's lost his mind. And then it ends up killing the shark and it's awesome.
Roy Scheider had by the end of this movie. That's why.
Oh man, you're right though, man. John Williams' score is even when the score crescendos like right at the end credits, his score is not talked about that much. His Jaws 2 score is excellent. It absolutely elevates the movie because you'll see scenes that are like decent, but because they're backed by John Williams' score, which has like it gets a little bit Star Wars-ish in moments. Like when they're approaching Cable Junction, it goes like, and I'm like, oh, where's Princess Leia? But God, it's good. It's good.
Oh, I don't know if I have any other notes on this. There's a line that I think is I chuckle when Ellen and Martin are sitting at the, I think, kitchen table or breakfast table, and Ellen says, "That's your third smoke already?" And Martin goes, "With coffee."
Yeah, I was like, how does that make it better?
I don't know, but that's why I like it.
Yeah, he's like, "With coffee." Oh, and that scene is also like an ad for Cheerios. It's like, are you having Cheerios? No, you're having Cheerios. Let's eat Cheerios. Cheerios.
Yeah. I have one other note here. I think I'm done. The dead orca. I love this. You know why? Because I want to think this is a reference to the 1977 Dino De Laurentiis produced Orca movie, which was a blatant ripoff of Jaws.
I've never seen that, and I think I would be entertained.
Yeah, and it's not good. It's not good. And the producers, Zanuck and Brown, are taking a shot right back at this really terrible film because it's not good. So the shark is taking a bite out of that bad movie.
I love that whole area. That whole lighthouse was fake. Like Joe Alves built that for the movie. Like, I love the scene with the whale. I like it when Chief Brody is back at his office and he's like putting cyanide on his bullets and his gun.
I know.
And that scene, like, this is
dark.
Like me being like annoyed by the smallest thing, but like Jeffrey Kramer comes in, sees him doing that, and stares at his office, and like he's like, "What's that on Chief Brody's table? What's he doing there?" And like Chief Brody like changes the subject and talks about other things, and like I don't know what direction Jeffrey Kramer got from Szwarc, but he is standing staring at Brody's office into the dark. Yeah. He's like, "What's he doing in there?" Then he like turns on the light again. He looks, it's like, if you want to look, just turn on the light, go in there, take the tarp off and settle it once and for all. But instead he's like standing in the doorway forever. I always thought that was kind of just I was like, what? Just say it. Just say, "Hey Chief, what's on your desk?" But instead he stares like, "What's going on in here?"
Oh, all right. Are we talked out? I think we're good with this.
It was good. Yeah. I like Jaws too. I think it's a decent, it's a fun movie, and I would go and see it again, and I can still like recapture that joy. I just miss the feeling of watching it when I was like the age of the people. And I was like, it just hit a little bit different back then. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I wish I could see this through 12-year-old eyes again and be awed by the way I was back then, but I can't.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a quick break here. We'll come back with our final thoughts, although I think we've kind of shared all of our thoughts on this, and our ratings and our verdict.
Jesus.
Hey, careful, Dennis.
That's a piece of shit, Arnie.
Wish she could be fixed up. She could.
Yeah.
Well, she could be really tough.
Forget it, Arnie. This baby's got 93,000 miles on it. Probably 193.
I don't care.
Bet it won't even start.
She'll start. You need these.
How much do you want for her? I mean, whatever it is, it's not enough.
Jesus, Arnie.
So we want to begin something new with this episode. If you recognize the clip we played, we would love for you to email us at backtotheframerate@gmail.com with the name of the film and the tie-ins to this week's episode review. And what we're going to do is we're going to select a winner and announce it on the next episode. And we're going to give you a shout out on that show and officially induct you into the Back to the Frame Rate vault of cinematic know-it-alls. So sorry, no cash, no prizes, just immortality. So yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Again, backtotheframerate@gmail.com. All right. So before we also continue, we want to thank you for tuning into the show. We really appreciate you listening, and we love to hear what you think. And whether you agree with our opinions, completely disagree, or just want to tell us that we're crazy, we would just love to hear from you. Again, email us at backtotheframerate@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. We're on TikTok. Yeah. And that handle is Back to the Frame Rate. So if you're enjoying the show, help us grow by sharing this episode with fellow movie lovers, leaving a comment and a review on our social media channels, or even sending us a voice message. I'm still waiting for that voice message, Sam. It's going to happen someday because we'll play it on the show. only if it's kind. You never know. It might even make it into a future episode. And you can visit us at backtotheframerate.com, where you can find every episode and links to dozens and dozens of episodes and on many podcast platforms. And if you ever wondered what our confused facial expressions look like while we're passionately debating movies, you can now watch full video episodes on YouTube and now on Spotify. Okay. Sam, let's just give a final wrap up of Jaws 2 and tell me what your rating is, always from 1 to 5, and if this is vault worthy or not.
So I like Jaws 2, and if I was thinking about it, the nostalgia factor, if I had just seen it now, today, for the first time, I'd probably give it 3 stars, but because of growing up with it and enjoying it, I'd give it 3.5. I think it's fun. I think it's good for what it is. And the reason I like it is because I genuinely enjoyed the world of Amity Island in the first movie. And so if you like the first film and you want to see some of the characters again and go back to Amity, of course it doesn't hold a candle to the first film. But it's fun to return to Amity Island, even though it's mostly shot in Florida, but it's still an Amity Island movie. It is the best of the Jaws sequels. That's not saying much because 3 and 4 are just, my God, like one day it'd be almost funny to review those and be like, what the hell is going on here? I honestly think Jaws 3 should be studied in film school as like, how not to, like, why does this movie not work at all? When it comes to the vault, because of the place that I'm in these days where like I need comfort and I'm kind of hurting, I would let it into the vault just because I just would just be nice to have it there one day and like the apocalyptic wasteland as a friend that I know it couldn't like talk back to me because it's a movie, but it would just be nice to have it around. So I'll just say yes to the vault just because like I'm sure I'll see it again. You know what I mean? It's a good movie to sit there and remember brighter days.
All right. I think I share a lot of your same sentiments, Sam. Like I said before, I grew up with this movie. I enjoyed this a lot growing up. I have only the best nostalgic feelings for this movie. But, watching this twice now this summer, it really is not even close in quality to the original. I mean, this is still not a bad movie. As far as sequels go, it is not bad. And there are far worse sequels. The sequel that I'm going to recommend later in the show is far worse than this movie. But so I feel like a hypocrite in a lot of ways. But original Jaws might be in my top 3 movies of all time.
Oh, God, yeah.
So it's hard to look at this objectively and not find the many, many flaws in this. I mean, there is actually is a great score. There actually is some fantastic cinematography in this. I forget who it was Michael Butler.
Michael Butler, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is shot very competently. There's some great moments in here and it's very suspenseful, but it feels like a facsimile of something that just isn't quite there. And I think the way that I put it earlier, that it does feel like a made for TV sequel in a lot of ways. It's muted. The horror, the gore, it feels like the edited version of something that I want to find the R-rated version of this, or something that feels a little bit more darker, a little bit more harder. And I don't know what that says about me, but
no, the original director, John Hancock, would agree with you. That's what he was going for. He just,
but sounds like he wanted something maybe a little more arty as well. And I don't necessarily need it to be that. I'm okay with popcorn movies. I'm okay with splashy, fun adventure, but I feel like that this went off the rails in a couple of ways. And I'm not having tons of fun with all of these teens. I got really frustrated in the last 35 minutes of this movie. Everything with Martin Brody, I think is great. I don't think they do much with Ellen Brody in this. And I don't think that anybody else in this movie outside of maybe Murray Hamilton is very interesting in this movie. And he doesn't have a very big role in this. And that's a problem. That's a real problem in this movie for me.
That's really true. The way I would describe it is I don't think that the teenage actor, like the young people, they're not bad actors. It's just the characters are just like one. It's just there's not much depth there. They're just like kind of stock people. Like
So I know. So this is hard for me to say, but like I mean, I'm still giving this a 3.5 out of 5. So it's a good film. It's a good sequel. This could have been completely a train wreck.
Yeah.
It absolutely could have been. And it is not. But I'm not putting it in the vault. I'm not, because there is a baseline standard that I still want to have for this. And
I think you're right. I think I'm just kind of like hurting these days.
No, it's fine. Listen. It may not be in our vault, but it can still be in your own personal collection, Sam. I'm not going to begrudge you that. Okay.
I meant to say one quick thing. One scene where I miss Spielberg, and I can feel them trying to do the Spielberg thing. It's inside of Chief Brody's office at the very beginning when like people are coming to him with like local police problems, and they're like, this kid on the radio yelling break, and it's like, my son's girlfriend was dancing in her window, and he's like, dancing, huh?
Dancing, yeah.
All the overlapping dialogue there. I feel like they were trying to do the Spielberg, like everything's and people, and it just did not have the magic. I felt like I was watching actors in a room improvising, where when I see scenes like that in a Spielberg movie, it feels real. And that was the one thing where I was like, oh man, I miss Steven.
Yep. All right. So, sadly I'm saying no. So we're going to purge it for now, because, in our new way of rating things, it has to be majority rules. So that's how it goes.
Makes sense.
All right. That is the moment where I don't know why that keeps happening, but that's the moment where the woman doused the shark with the gasoline and there was a shark explosion. We'll just call it that.
One moment they were having a wonderful time, and the next we heard a bang. That was the explosion. I like how Chief Brody right in that moment knows right away. She's like, I don't know what could have caused that. And there's a close up of his face. He's like, oh fuck, we have another shark problem. Like he knows right away. He's like, yep, there's a shark. Now I'm worried.
All right. I say it is time for our recommendation shelf.
Sir.
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Well, have you heard anything about either one of them?
I find it's best to stay out of other people's affairs.
You mean you haven't heard anybody say anything about either one of these?
Nope.
Well, what about these two?
Oh, they suck.
Okay, recommendation shelf tonight is Studio Money Grabs, which I think pretty well ties into Jaws 2. Now, these could be guilty pleasures. This could be just movies that were sequels that we just love, and we just, it doesn't have to be bad movies, but, could just, I think that this is a wide open category that we get some fun with tonight. So, Sam, do you want me to go first, or would you like to open this up?
You go first, actually. I'll explain. I misunderstood the assignment, and
you are changing this. It's not going to be Muppets Take Manhattan or Christmas Carol or something.
No, but I forgot that I realized, because of course it's a recommendation shelf, but I chose a cash grab sequel that I strongly dislike because it was like, what's a cash grab sequel? And so we're
recommending these.
Yeah, and so now I'm going to pick one. I've got a better one now, but you go first.
Okay. We want people to like us, not like send them down a path
go
where they're
watch
like,
this piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, for my recommendation shelf pick this week, and I know, Sam, that I think you're a fan of this. Again, we're doing studio money grabs. I'm going with The Jewel of the Nile from 1985. Nice. And this is absolutely the studio saying, hey, that worked. Let's get the gang back together and make another one. So Romancing the Stone comes out in March of 1984, and it's a huge hit. And about 20 months later, The Jewel of the Nile is already sitting in theaters, I think.
Yeah, it was fast. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're definitely talking some diminishing returns here. Jewel of the Nile it's not as good as Romancing the Stone. But you know what? I don't care. It's still fun and it's ridiculous. It's another adventure movie. And I'm especially happy to bring these movies up because longtime listeners of the show may remember that our former co-host, Brianna Butterworth, fundamentally denies that these movies even exist. And if you're listening, B, I hope you are out there somewhere. She has somehow decided that these movies are a collective hallucination and that the rest of us somehow had in the 1980s. But for anybody who hasn't seen them, Romancing the Stone is a big action adventure comedy, very much in that Raiders of the Lost Ark tradition. Michael Douglas plays a charming, swashbuckling adventurer named Jack Colton, opposite Kathleen Turner, who's a romance novelist, Joan Wilder. Michael Douglas is ridiculously charismatic in these movies. This is probably the films that established him as a major leading man. And the chemistry between Douglas and Turner is a huge part of why these movies work. And then you've got Danny DeVito coming in, adding comic relief, and also helped establish his film career because audience primarily knew him as Louis De Palma in Taxi. And then he had a small part in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest as well that people probably remember as well. But you've got Douglas, Turner, and DeVito bouncing off each other. And the three of them are just really entertaining together. So I haven't seen Jewel of the Nile in ages, but I grew up with both of these films, very similar to Jaws 1 and 2 in a lot of ways, around the same time. And these movies are a comfort food for me. They're goofy and there's a lot of adventure and there's some romance in these as well. So they're very 80s as well, and they're a lot of fun. So, but here's my recommendation. If you've never seen Romancing the Stone, start there. It is definitely the better movie. And then when you're finished, and you inevitably will say, you know what? I could watch Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner do this for another 2 hours. That's when you put in Jewel of the Nile. And so there. Is it great? No. But did the studio rush a sequel? Because the first one made a pile of money? Yes. But if nothing else, you'll become a completist like me, and there's value in that.
I gotta see. I think I've seen pieces of the second one. Now I might actually go and watch that tonight. Like, I know it's not as good, but like, does it have some fun like set pieces? Like,
it's all set pieces. Yeah,
I know it's more of like the desert. It's like a Middle East one, right? And there's like they get stuck in the cockpit of a F-18 or something. I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I gotta watch that again.
It was not a hallucination, Sam. It happened.
No. Wait, so I don't understand. So does B like dislike the film so much that she doesn't?
No, or she doesn't believe that they exist.
For real? Or is she joking?
Who knows? She's like, I don't think she's ever heard of them.
It's so weird. Interesting. Huh.
Your turn, Sam. Oh, by the way, I think it's only available on VOD. I kind of looked around to see if it was. I don't think it's. I'll let you know if it's streaming anywhere while Sam talks. But you can give me your review.
So this is supposed to be the recommendation shelf, and for some reason I forgot that, and so I do have a better one now. But what I originally did was picked a cash grab sequel that was a cash grab, but a movie I thought was terrible, and that was Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows.
Oh God!
Which I saw in the theater, and that is a cash grab, and that is just not a good movie. And so realizing that I misunderstood, because we always do recommendation shelf. I don't know how I could have forgotten that, but so scrambling now. I wish I had a better one than this. I know there's got to be, because it's not, but like I would say, I mean, I love the first Terminator film, and so the studio wanted to make another one. I love Terminator 2, and I guess I'd recommend that, but it's not quite. It's better than a cash grab because it's like I highly recommend Terminator 2, but I feel like the whole world has seen that movie. So, man, I can't say Greenland 2 because it was not.
I just saw that.
Yeah, it was not as good as the first one. I had some moments. I'd watch it again, but I don't know. I kind of screwed this up. I'll do 2000. You know what? So, all right. So my cash grab recommendation will be 2010 Space Odyssey. Here's the thing. It's not as good as the first one, but it's one of those movies that has
classic. The first one. This is a perfect suggestion because you're going from one of the all-time great movies.
Yeah, like 2001 is like one of the all-time great movies ever. And so 2010, what's interesting about it is Peter Hyams directed it, and I think the story of 2010, the story of the movie, like the events that happen in the sequel that also happens to have Roy Scheider. I think the story is better than the execution. I think the story of 2010, the year we made contact, I think it has some great visual effects. It's interesting. I think its direction is a little bit standard, but I enjoyed it enough that if you love 2001, I honestly recommend watching it because it's just interesting to see where they go with it and what happens. Now, interestingly enough, that director, I think a better movie of his is Outland, starring Sean Connery, which is also a sci-fi film that I have watched that movie a million times. It's a gritty movie I really like. So I think that's a better directorial effort. But 2010, the year we made contact, interesting sequel. I would not say like a huge, strong recommend, but if you like 2001 and you're a completionist, watch this sequel. It is decent. It has some impressive visuals for 1984. And overall, a cool story. I like the story better than the execution. I think his direction is kind of standard, whereas I think when he directed Outland, it has a bit more character to it. But I enjoyed 2010. I actually saw that again last year, and it was entertaining. So yeah, 2010, the year we made contact. That would be mine.
I want to see that again. Actually, it's been a long time. Also, Roy Scheider stars in it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I saw 2010 before I saw 2001 because I saw 2010 in the theater. My parents took me to see it when I was like 11 or 10 years old or so. I don't know how old I was, but yeah, that's so weird. And I had no idea what was going on. I had no contact.
Yeah.
To what 2001 was.
John Lithgow's in that movie.
Yeah, Helen Mirren. There was somebody else. I think wasn't there like a Russian actor that was famous? I forget who it was.
Yeah.
But, I can't remember. Anyways, but it's a bizarre film, and having no context to the events of 2001, who Hal is, and it's crazy that I was brought to that, trying to piece together the story. I went back and watched it years later after seeing 2001, and I actually really like it. And I would love for Arthur C. Clarke's other novels to turn. I don't know how they would do it. I've never read them, but I'd be curious to see where they could go with this. They could, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe with the success of movies like Project Hail Mary and Interstellar and things like this, there's a chance that this might be something they would do some point. I don't know. I'd love to see it. But,
that'd be cool. Yeah. It's funny. It's these days watching movies like in like 4K on like a larger screen, there is literally nowhere to hide. So like you see what the movie really is, what works, doesn't work. And there were some movies that I liked as a kid that were like hidden by the charm of VHS with like pan and scan, and that actually kind of helped. And I enjoy 2010 a lot too. It's just when I saw it recently and you see it crystal clear, you're like, oh, okay, this is the movie. It's a different experience, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Well, those are our recommendations, and go check them out. And you've inspired me to check out 2010 sooner than later, because I would love to do that. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So,
it's an interesting movie.
Okay, so I think we are at the end of our episode, Sam. This has been a fun show, a fun episode. I'm glad we got to talk about Jaws 2 finally. And I look forward to upcoming episode. I think we are going to be discussing a movie that we have been teasing for a long time on the show, since the inception of Back to the Frame Rate. And our next episode coming out maybe in the next couple of weeks, maybe in a month or so, we are going to be reviewing Gremlins 2, the new batch. Is that, or the next batch? I don't even know. You know why? Because I've never seen it. A movie that I have avoided my whole life.
I can't wait to see. That'll be a fascinating discussion, because like I can't wait to see it with your like objective, like watching it for the first time. That's infused into childhood for me, but like this will be a good discussion. Tune in for this one.
Oh my God. Watching it with virgin eyes. I will see what happens. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Any last words, or should we time to call a 908, Sam?
Sounds good. I was I saw your message, and Beverly Hills Cop 2 is also a good cash grab sequel, and I actually like Beverly Hills Cop 2. So yeah.
I do too. Yeah. All right. That is a show for this week. Back to the Frame Rate is part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Special thanks to Brian Ellsworth for our show opening. On behalf of all of us, we thank you. On behalf of all of us, we bid you farewell from the fallout shelter. If you're enjoying the show, please subscribe, leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform. You will always find all of our episodes at backtotheframerate.com. This is the end of our transmission. Back to the Frame Rate, signing off.
I want you to know it's over.
Well. That's your show. Where the hell is Francis' show?